Welcome. We are going to start. My name is Álvaro Picardo, and I am project coordinator of the Horizon Europe SMURF project. And my role here is, first of all, to give you all the welcome to the first information session on the second call for Cascade Funding. As I previously mentioned, this session is going to be recorded, and I am going to share the screen. Now I think that you can see it in full screen mode. And we have this agenda, so a lot of issues to cover. I'm not going through the 16 points, but this call for Cascade Funding is a little bit complicated in the sense that there are many different activities, many different specifications, and in today's session, we are going to make an effort to make it easy for you. And since the session is being recorded, it will be uploaded in the SMURF webpage. So the second question that I wanted to mention is that if you have questions, and I guess that you will have, and in fact, we have already received some questions, we ask you, please, first of all, to go to the Annex 8 of the call that is published in the webpage with all the information and read this section of the frequently asked questions. But if you have different questions, I'm sorry, but these questions will not be answered individually. And since there is so much information to be provided in this session, we will not have a specific time for questions. I am sorry for this, but you have to understand just by looking at the agenda that there are too many issues to cover. So questions will be answered online. So please, you can, if you have a question, send an email to the address that is in the screen. And in the subject of the email, please indicate that this regards to the second SMURF open call. And the SMURF team will be receiving questions until the 20th of June, since the end of the call is on the 2nd of July. And all the answers will be analyzed, reviewed, and published. And in those 5 different timings. All the answers, of course, will be provided in English. And we encourage you to please send your questions in that language. English is the official language, the only one of the project. So now I'm going to make a very short presentation of the project. You can check our webpage for more information, but the SMURF project is focused on small forest owners and small forest holdings across Europe. And this is the acronym of Sustainable Management Models and Value Chains for Small Forests in Europe. This is a European project funded under the Horizon Europe program with the grant agreement that appears, and it started in January last year, 2024. It will last for 4 years until the end of 2027. And we have to say that there will be no time for extensions of this time. The Commission has already told us that. The total amount funded by the Commission is 5.4 million euros. So that's quite a lot of money. It's a big project, and it's coordinated by the CESEFOR Foundation that I work for, a foundation in Spain. But we are a team of 10 partners from 6 countries, 2 universities, 2 research centers, 3 small and medium enterprises, 1 NGO, and 2 industrial clusters, Innovaboud and Silo Futur from France. That's the distribution. But we will work not in those 6 countries, we will work in the 27 countries of the European Union. And the way to do that is with your support. We all together want to address one problem: the fact that profitability of a small forest is relatively low. If you compare with agriculture and you understand that primary production is not really a very profitable activity, you will understand this. And the low profitability has an additional problem: the lack of professionalism of many forest holdings and the small size. Since in Europe, the average size of our forest is around 10 hectares, and there are millions of holdings below 1 or 2 hectares. And what we are trying to do is to develop profitable and sustainable solutions for those small forest holdings, combining different approaches like payments for ecosystem services and of different nature. But we are, with our focus on the value chain, the entire value chains in Europe, like with timber, bioenergy, biomass, but also with non-wood forest products, and also with services like carbon credits or nature and biodiversity credits. All our actions are in line with the forest strategy approved by the European Union for 2030. And if you want more information on the project, please have a look at our webpage. So here we are in the process of trying to explain what Cascade Funding is and how it works. I think that some of you have already participated in the first call, and so you know what it means. And this is a mechanism established by the European Commission to distribute public and European funding, in this case, to third parties. And the third parties that we are looking for are forest owners organizations, federations, associations. I will explain a little bit later on. So the idea is that almost close to 20% of the total budget of our project, 1 million euros, is going to be distributed among forest associations from all over Europe. Hopefully, the best would be that we get beneficiaries from the 27 member states, and that's what we are looking for. So please, if you know colleagues working for associations in other countries, please give the voice, because this will strengthen the joint effort that we are going to do. So the basic principles that applied to this mechanism is excellence. We are looking for the best organizations and the best proposals. Transparency. We need to be clear in all the rules. We need to be fair, impartial, keep confidentiality, and of course, efficiency and speed. And we are very glad that we made a first trial with the first open call, because in the proposal, the idea was to have only one, but finally we split this in 2. And right now we are in the middle of the process of the second call. So FESE4 will coordinate this process on behalf of the entire SMURF team. So the first call has had the objective to fund at least 40 organizations. And in fact, we received more than that. We received 55 proposals, but we only approved 35 because there are systems that were published with the conditions to be granted. And we received many proposals from specific countries like Italy, France, Spain, or Portugal, and we wanted to distribute the funds across Europe. So we had a maximum of 4 beneficiaries per country. That's why we didn't get that limit of 40 organizations. But we already distributed 175,000 euros, and we granted 35 recipients. In this second call that was launched some days ago, we are trying to continue this work, and we are funding activities that will take place in the next year and the last year of the project. So we are funding the activities of 2026 and 2027. And we want to enlarge the community that SMURF is willing to organize and to set up. So we are looking for a minimum of 40 organizations. Beneficiaries of the first call are welcome to participate, okay? But we want to enlarge that number, and we would like to get up to 70 different forest associations, because you have the knowledge. And in this second call, we are going to really start working in practical activities. We mean in pilot projects and in other, the very relevant activities of the project that we will explain in this session. So this is the general information of the call. The total funding that we are trying to distribute is 825,000 euros. The difference with the amount up to 1 million that we distributed in the previous one. And in this case, the fund that each organization can receive is increasing. Last edition, it was 5,000 euros. In this occasion, the maximum is 60,000 euros per organization, depending on the activities that each of you will apply for, because most of the activities are optional, as I will explain. For the beneficiaries of the first call, you could only obtain 55,000 euros, because in the commission, there is the rule that the maximum that can be distributed to one organization is the total of 60,000. So considering that you have already received or will receive 5,000 euros, that's the specific limit for you. And very important issue, who is our target? And we are looking for forest owners associations, federations, confederations, or cooperatives of small forest owners. I'm sorry, but we are not funding single forest holdings. And for instance, we had some questions of people saying, we are a village. It's the same, because this happens in many countries in Europe. We are more than 400 forest owners, and we would like to apply. But we told them that this is not the idea. We want to fund associations of different forest holdings, okay? And associations that represent the forest owners. So the opening of the call was on the 9th, in the 9th of April, and very important, you have time to prepare, and we ask you to start preparing your call, your proposal as soon as possible. You have until the 2nd of July, so almost 2 months, in May and June. And the communication of results will be in October, the 3rd of October. The start of activities, we hope that could be ready by December of this year. But the main idea is that in any case, activities will have to start in January 2026 and last until the end of July 2027. We need to reserve some time to collect all the information from your activities and from the rest of the activities of the project, and present all the deliverables and all the reports by December the 31st. So Now we are going to explain the activities. We are asking for proposals on 1 mandatory activity and 5 optional. And this is probably the most relevant slide of the presentation. This is the summary of the 6 different activities that you could apply for. The first activity is the participation in the final conference of the project. You know that we are, into less than 2 weeks, we will be in Rome celebrating the first European conference on small forest holdings. And we plan to organize a second conference, also European, that will be at the same time that the final seminar of the project. And we want you to participate in this relevant conference. And we want you to participate in the dissemination and communication efforts. So that's why this first activity is mandatory, and the amount that is for each grant is of 3,000 euros, because you will have to participate in the conference and have 2 years, and we will specify later on, of communication activities. The second activity is the implementation of a pilot project on an innovative new business opportunity. And since this can be very complex, this activity that is optional might have a grant of up to 30,000 euros. But if an application at an association wants to do something for a smaller quantity, it's also possible. That's the amounts that we are indicating are the maximum that you can apply for. The third activity is related to close to nature silviculture. And you know that the Commission has published a guidelines, and we are close to prepare the first to report the first delivery on the new models for close to nature silviculture. And we want to establish demonstration stands, 10 demonstration stands in different countries in Europe. For that, we will give up to 10,000 euros. Also, we want to do training for forest owners, forest practitioners, and you can participate in the training sessions that will be organized also on optional basis. And since you will have to participate in the field in this, you will receive up to 2,500 euros. The fifth activity is the development of new payment for ecosystem services, a pilot carbon project under the standard that Preferred by Nature will prepare during 2026, following the regulation of the European Commission on the framework for carbon credit certification. For those pilot carbon projects on reforestation and improved forest management, you can receive up to 12,000 euros. And finally, for the exploitation of results, we will organize 15 national or regional working groups to transfer the results of the project, and you can participate in those working groups, and we would really like that you could do it and receive up to 2,000 euros. So this was the first part on the general information on the call. And the next one is getting into the details of each of the specific activities. So now I give the word to Elena Moreno that will present the first activity. Elena, can you follow?
Good morning, everyone. Josefina is going to present this part. Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Alvaro. Elena, my name is Josefina. Hello, everyone. I'm the communication manager of the SMURF project on behalf of the Contactica team, one of the partners of the project. And well, as Alvaro said, these activities are mandatory. That means there are key activities that we will ask you to complete during the time you are working with us. The first one, as Alvaro mentioned, is attending to the final conference that will be on in-person attendance, and it's planning to be on July 2027. The event, sorry, from the event June 2027. So please save that date so you can participate in order if you are selected to receive the grant. The second activity, subactivity, it has to do with communication and disseminations activities, and you can find all the details in the full document. And the most important is that it's really nice if you have a website where you can share SMURF content. Also, you will be asked to develop some posts for social media, 4 mini videos and 20 pictures. The idea of this communication material is that you can create and distribute communication regarding your own organization, but also your members, the relevant news in your country or region, and all the communication material should be delivered in English because it's, as Alvaro mentioned, the main language of this project, and we need to do it in that language. Also, the pictures is for us to share your work in your field, in your region. And you will also need to provide information about national websites and identification of experts in your region or nation. So then you will be receiving some documents that you will need to fill with that information. Also, there is a communication plan where you need to post at least 20 posts. You have all the details, as I mentioned, in the full call document, and 2 news for blog articles that will be published on website to report also with media, press, and TV if you have that kind of media in your region. I don't know, Alvaro, if you want to add anything else.
No, and
Thank
move.
you.
Do you explain the grant amount and the timeline, Josefina?
Yes, sorry. Well, as it said here, the amount is 3,000 distributed between the first and the second activity. For the attendance to the conference and networking, you will have 1,000 euros. And for the rest of communication and dissemination activities, you will have 2,000 euros. And the timeline for these activities will be set between December 2025 and until 31st of July, the end of the project. Sorry, there are some. Okay. And the milestones that we are looking to achieve are, of course, as we mentioned, the attendance to the final conference in June. As I already mentioned, for you to upload the SMURF website into your websites. I mean, that will be a section or a link in your website. The submission of the 6 posts. So here are more or less the dates. Everything is planned and it has a date set up. Submission of the 4 mini videos, February 2026, July 2026, December 2026, and May 2027. The submission of the 20 pictures should be delivered between in March 2026 and January 2027. The identification of 3 national websites should be delivered by January 2026. Identification of 3 experts in forest communication, January 2026. Publication of 20 posts, and that should be 1 per month during the entire timeline. And the publication of 2 news on report on level media that should be delivered September 2026 and March 2027. The deliverables, you also can find more details in the full call document, should be reported or submitted the final report project on July 2027, and the final report on the joint dissemination efforts should be delivered by July 2027. Álvaro, you are mute, sorry.
Yes, sorry. So the next activity, the implementation on a pilot project on innovative new business opportunities, will be presented by Abdel Bessan. Abdel, are you there?
Yeah, thank you, Alvaro. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Abdel, and I'm a first project manager at Xilo Future, the French innovation cluster dedicated to the forest wood sector. So, small forest holdings hold potential, but unlike it requires fresh ideas. So I'm going to introduce activity 2, a grant to implement innovative business models that empower these vital ecosystems. So the objective of this activity is to test an innovative business opportunity for small forest holdings in a territorial context where it has not been previously tested or exploited. So an innovative business opportunity is not just a good idea. Sorry. Is not just a good idea, it's a viable idea or venture that adds value or increase revenue. It can introduce something new, improved, or different to the market. So many targets, we are aiming to many targets, solving existing problems or more efficiently, meeting unmet needs, expanding into new markets, or improving internal process or adapting new technologies. The business, the innovation business opportunity must fit one of these categories. First, the new technologies and new non-wood product and damaged infected wood. For new technologies, it should be a technology-based factor and techniques that lead to the generation of new opportunities for small-scale forest owners. For example, cable crane harvester, engineered wood products, or digital tools like remote sensing. For non-wood products, it concerns mushrooms, berries, cork, resin that did not have exploited yet. And for the last category, it's about damaged and infected wood. It must reach added value uses for timber damaged by fire, pest, windstorm, etc., and must follow cascading use principles. So the pilot project is designed as a time-limited experimental initiative. The goal is to test and to validate an idea and to assess technical, commercial, and operational viability, to identify barriers and measure the impact and refine the concept. You have some example in the Annex 6 of the call, but applicants are free to propose original ideas. Beyond the test and validation of the ideas, the pilot project also support mutual learning. It will serve as basis for application in other regions or organization promoting scalable models. So the SMURF team will coordinate the involvement of 3 to 4 organizations in each pilot. Online meeting will facilitate external advisory input, first-hand experience to support future application, and the awarded entities might ensure the third-party participation and facilitate implementation and participation processes. As mentioned by Josefina, mini video and Alvaro, mini videos recording of pilot progress will be produced to support the mutual learning and application efforts. The maximum grant available is 3,000 for each applicant and must specify the grant amount required for their proposal under this activity. So the pilot projects will run from December 1st by the end of this year to July 2027. Sorry. So the pilot project will follow 4 main milestones, and each phase will be accompanied by a deliverable. For the first one is the characterization of the innovative business opportunity. You have till the end of January of next year. The second is planning and preparation for the project pilot until April 2026. And the end of implementation phase of the project pilot until April 2027. And by the end, evaluation of results and conclusion and optimization till July 2027. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdel. And now to present the Close to Nature Silviculture demonstration stands, Francesca Gianetti from the University of Florence, you have the word.
Hello, everybody. I'm Francesca Giannetti, researcher at the University of Florence, and within the SMURF project, I'm also responsible for the work package for On Close to Nature. So these activities will deal with this work package. What we ask with this Cascade Funding, that is an optional for the applicant, is to set up a network of different demonstration stands around Europe within different tree species where close to nature silviculture will be implemented. So what we ask is to design a forest area as test where will be possible also to compare forest management strategies. And of course, we would like also to promote the knowledge transfer to forestry professionals, and also to create a demonstration stand that could announce the sustainability and also the adaptability of forest management under the climate change perspective. So we will support the activities within the demonstration stand, so you will be not alone, but SMURF Project will help you in some of the activities that are requested. And of course, we would like also to use these demonstration stand not just during the project, but also in the future as experimental training and learning area around Europe. So the data that you will provide during these activities will become open access because they will promote the collaboration between researchers, managers, and policy makers. So next slide. What we are asking to have a demonstration stand at least of 20 hectare size. Would be better if with good accessibility. So it's will need to be near road or forest road. and where the forest structure is already measured. So it means that we would like to have a structure with a mean quadratic diameter higher than 25 centimeter, and with some trees also higher, larger than 35 centimeter in dph. So diameter at bridge height. For that aspect will be really important also when you submit the application to have the description of the stand. We are not requiring just a stand that where close to nature silviculture is already implemented, but also a stand that would like to be transformed from traditional rotation forest management to close to nature's principle. So what are the activities that are requested if you will reach the award, the grant? Would be to signalize and materialize on the ground the demo stand, and also to perform some tree marking. So it means that we need to use a selective thinning or selective cuttings, and we would like to not just to mark the trees, but also to harvesting these trees after the market. Moreover, we will install there a monitoring device of 10 permanent plots, and this activity will be supported by SMURF team. So we will come there to measure with you the 10 plot and to implement this monitoring device. And then we ask you not to harvesting the market trees during the activities that will be held in 2027. Of course, this stand will be also important for training activities and transferring knowledge to other associations in your country or within the European frameworks. So we will like to that you organize also field visit during the silviculture treatment or the marking of the trees in order to give a nice visibility of what we are doing there in this demonstration stand. And of course, presenting the result that you have, so harvesting map, harvested area, and product. So the trees that you are cutting, where are they goes, what are the materials that we will produce with this kind of food, and also to participate in the workshop and exchange with the stakeholder. So next slide. So we ask you to maintain the stand at least for 15 years. So it's mean that will be start to be counted after the end of the project. So from the 2028, of course, you will receive maybe additional point if you maintains the stand also even more than the request that we are giving to you. So in this stand, you will need to maintain in the future also close to nature practice, and also to maintain the devices. So it means this 10 plot that need to be measured every, not every years, but every 5 years, you need to go there and measure this template. So we also have access for education outbreak and integrate this demo stand not just within the network of SMURF, but also in other network at the European level. So this plot will be in the network of SMURF, but we would like to also to collaborate with other additional network with the work we are done together. So next. So you will receive for this activity 10,000 euros. So these are the money that you can use also for harvesting activities or collecting data or whatever. And you will receive this data for activities that will start maybe the 1st of December of this year, and then we'll finish in July 2027. So 20 months for these activities. What we ask is to have some milestones. So we need to set up the installation of the stand within the 31 of March 2026. Then we need to also tree marking, so understand what are the trees that we need to be cutting and mark. So we need to perform some measure in the field, and assist also the SMURF teams to set up the 10 plot and the monitoring device. Then I think here there is an error in the slide. The harvesting activities need to be done until the 31 May 2027, not 2026. So you have time also to require authorization in your country if are needed for that kind of activities. And then we need to organize there a final event or a dissemination activities until the end of the Gantt. So it's 31 of July 2027. So this is the deliverable. So it's a request for you to, during the implementation, to have some deliverables. So we need to have a GAPS location, the installing of the scene board. So it's that this is a demonstration stand under SMURF, and also propose the harvesting plan, and have the tree market reporting including measure, the dendrometric measure that usually we acquire in the field for that kind of activities. And then also to have the tree harvesting report. So it's also the economic aspect regarding to the tree harvesting report, not just the volume or the trunk that we obtain, but also the economic things regarding all the harvesting part. And then we need to have also the report of the info day, including the list of participants, the stakeholder, the content, and so on. And then a final report regarding the lesson learned from you installing these kind of stands. Then this is another. Then we pass to another activities that is not mandatory also within the work package 4, that is the participation on close to nature silviculture training session that is under work package 4 also. So in this case, we ask to the participant that are interested in apply to these activities to come to training session that will be organized in 7 different countries. So it means that each association that could reach the Gantt can participate at least in one of these training sessions, not in all, but in just one. We organize 7, but the association will participate just in one. These are the countries where the training session will be organized: Spain, France, Italy, Portugal, Belgium, Romania, and Sweden, in order to cover mostly of the regions in Europe. And we ask for each of the association of that will reach the Gantt to participate at least with 2 people. So it's 2 people per association must participate, not can, but must participate. And the duration of this training activity will be 2-3 days. And where we combine theory and practice in the field on the use of close to nature principle and selective cutting and so on. So the training session will be done in English, so not in your own language or the language of the country where we organize. And it's a request that the participant will participate actively to the session. So it means that it's important. This is a very forest-oriented session. So it means that also we are required to the participant that participate to have a background on forest management. So so we will hope to have a forest manager, forest owner that usually are dealing with cutting activities, forest management, and not maybe communication people within the association. So the Gantt amount is 2 2,500 euros, and this is to recover to all the cost to travel to this training. So it's mean that this money need to be used to come to this training activities. So the timeline will be from the 1st April 2026 to the 31 July of 2027. This is because to organize 7 different training, we need to have timing, so we cannot give you the exact date for each of the training. And so the milestone will be to attending the training session for which you will be choose. And of course, we need to have the final report on Close to Nature, so the signature of training session, but also the photo of the attenders in the training session, and also to complete the survey for the post-training sessions.
Thank you, Francesca. And now we are going to explain the development of the new payment for ecosystem services, the carbon pilot projects. And I think that this will be by Prefer by Nature.
Yes.
Maria.
Thanks, Alvaro. Well, I quickly present myself. I'm Maria Sosa. I work for Prefer by Nature, and we are leaders of Work Package 5, developing this new payment for ecosystem services system. So this activity is focused on carbon, and the idea is to do these pilot carbon projects. This activity is optional for the applicant, and the idea is to identify, formalize, and register already implemented forestry activities as potential carbon projects. It's important here to mention that we are looking for already implemented projects, not to be developed, but already developed. So in general, a carbon project focused on land use and forestry activities is designed and implemented to reduce greenhouse gases or capture CO2 from the atmosphere. These projects can be validated, so the design of this project can be validated, and the implementation of these projects can be verified to issue carbon credits that can be traded on the voluntary carbon market. So this is the idea that we have with these carbon pilot projects. Each credit represents 1 ton of CO2 that has been avoided or removed from the atmosphere. And to be considered as a carbon project, these project activities must follow a standard and specific methodologies and comply with some requirements to demonstrate that is a carbon project. Next slide, please. So the before explanation was in general a carbon project, and in this framework, in the SMURF framework, a carbon project is going to be an existing and an already implemented forestry activity. And the idea is to test and demonstrate the application of a standard that we are developing in this project framework that is called Forest CO2 Credits EU Standard. Not only has to comply with the standard, but also has to apply one methodology from the 2 that we are developing. One is improved forest management activities, so to demonstrate that it's applying a change in the forestry practices, or afforestation and reforestation. Once the project is validated and verified under this standard and one of the 2 methodologies, it will be registered on a platform that we are also developing in the framework of the project, that is called FCO2 EU Market Platform, to deliver and to generate carbon credits called FCO2 EU Carbon Credit that can be sold and traded in the voluntary carbon market. We are going to focus in each of the 2 activities that are eligible. Improved forest management involves changes in forest management practices to increase biomass carbon stocks and reduce GHG emissions. And some examples can be extension of rotation periods for the same period of time. If we extend the the cycle, the rotation of the forest, we can capture more carbon. Applying closer to nature silviculture practices that we are developing in Work Package 4. Or another example is conversion of the forest from logged to protected forest. So the requirements here are that it has to be implemented in an already existing forest. It needs to demonstrate somehow with documents that there has been a change in the management, and it needs to have a forest inventory more or less updated. That is why it has to be not older than 10 years prior to the project implementation. And if we focus on afforestation and reforestation project activities, the idea is to establish a forest cover on a land that there has been no forest for at least 5 years. The eligible land types are degraded lands, grasslands, croplands, agricultural lands. Also, it can be applied on barren lands that has been affected by a forest fire or pest and disease affections also in the lands, and is not applicable on wetlands. This project activity must have started no later than 31 December 2023. That is why, as I already mentioned, we are looking for already implemented projects to truly generate carbon credits. And well, this is an easy activity that focuses on carbon sequestration through the planting of new woody vegetation. Also, some of the requirements that the pilot carbon project must follow and comply with are the following: must meet on the European Carbon Removal Certification Framework quality criteria that is focused on quantification, additionality, long-term storage, and sustainability. So I encourage you to have a look to the EU Carbon Removal Certification Framework webpage to check those criteria. Must apply one of the two methodologies that we are developing in the SMURF Framework project that will be available from February 2027. The activity must be in a EU member state. The applicant must have land ownership or rights of use on the land and must demonstrate that. The minimum project area is 1 hectare, and it can be scattered. So if we have 10 hectares in various sites, is eligible. The activity applied must be not legally mandated by any law and must not be registered in another GHG scheme as a carbon project, must be maintained for at least 30 years and must comply with national regional regulation and not use invasive species as per the national list. Also, in the case of improved forest management, the land must be classified as forest as per the national definition. It must have a pre-existing forest management plan and a new management plan or evidence that this change of practice, as I was mentioning at the beginning, and a forest inventory not older than 10 years. Please, can you, someone? Yes, thanks. And in the case of afforestation and reforestation, the last, what we are going to check is that the land must have been without forest for at least 5 years, meaning that it has not been deforested to implement this project, and this is not applicable to burned or pest-affected areas. And the project must have started no later than 31 December 2023. The activities to be developed by the applicant in the framework. So, well, the project must comply with the requirements that I mentioned before, and what the applicant have to do is to prepare the documentation according to the standard we are developing and according to the methodologies we are developing. So a project description document that explains the design and how the project is going to reduce or generate these carbon credits, reduce the emission the GHG emissions or capture the CO2 according to a standard, and a monitoring report to account of to do the accountability and according to the methodology. So these two documents are the first activity, the project activities that applicants must do. And also, since we will go to validate and verify the projects to the areas, supporting and assisting the SMURF partners when going there to check the forest and to check the project. As we already mentioned, is 12,000 per pilot carbon project, and the timeline is extended from 1 March 2026 to 31st July 2027. I'm not going to focus on the milestones that are already included in the call details. Just to mention here that the preparation of the project documentation must be in line with the project deliverables that we are working on. So we have to work like aligned for that. And also that it could happen that the carbon credit generation, when the project documentation is ready and the pilot carbon project is ready to deliver this carbon credit generation, it could happen that those carbon credit generation or take place after the summer because we will be working on the platform, and just to mention that for you to know. The deliverables, as I already mentioned, are the project documentation that demonstrate that the pilot carbon project is applying the standard and the methodology, so this project description document and the monitoring report, and then a final report including an evaluation of pilot carbon project activity and the key lesson learned. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. And so then I'm going to present the activity 6, the last one, that is the participation in a national or regional working group on small forest holdings. Again, this activity is optional for the applicant, and as the description is that the project will set up to 15 national or regional working groups. We are attempting to organize 12 national working groups, and in countries that where the regions have the competence in forestry, like Germany, Spain, Italy, or Belgium, it could be regional. So 3 regional and 12 nationals. The list of these working groups will be published by the 15th of September this year, before the publication of the results, and we will, the SMURF team will get in contact with the authorities, offering to host one of these national working groups. These groups will be open to the participation of the national forest stakeholders, any other forest owners organization, or the industry, or the forest owners themselves. And it should exploit the SMURF project results and try to focus on the shaping the future of the small forest holdings in the country or region. There will be a document on the specific terms of reference for each working group, defining who are the relevant stakeholders to invite, etc. And there will be 2 workshops, one preparatory that will be online and probably something like between 2 or 3 hours, and the main workshop that will be in person and lasting 1.5 days. The amount that will be granted is up to 2,000 euros, and these working groups will be organized between July 2026 and the end of July 2027, so with a total of 13 months. The milestones that we have to accomplish is that we need your contributions to the document of the terms of reference. Since you know the context in your country, the applicants will have to contribute to this document by the 31st of January 2027. And the territorial roadmap, that is the main document emerging from and the result of the working group, should be prepared by the end of March 2027. You should participate in the online workshop by the end of the year of the project, and participate in the in-person workshop by the 30th of April 2027. I'm sorry, because also here there is a mistake, because the online workshop should be before December 2026. Sorry for this. The deliverables will be a report on the contribution of the applicant to the terms of reference for the territorial working group, and the participation on the online workshop, that by January of 2027. And the reports on the contribution to the territorial roadmap, a document setting up a strategy for small forest holdings in the country for the next 4 years, 2027-2030, and as of course, demonstrating the participation and active participation on the in-person workshop of the territorial working group that will be by the end of July 2027. Of course, additional proofs would be the signature, the photo, and the completion of a survey post in-person workshop and the territorial working group. And well, it was quite intense in the description of the 6 different specific activities that we are asking proposals for. And now we're going to the third and last block of this session. As I told you, the total amount of funding available is 825,000 euros, and this is how we are planning to distribute in the 6 different activities. So we have mentioned the unitary amount per application. For instance, for activity 1, there is 3,500 euros, and we expect up to 77 grants that could be granted. And this is the way that we want to distribute the proposals, the funds. But in the case that we will start evaluating activity 2, the optional ones, and the last one that we will assign is the activity that is mandatory, the activity first. But if in those optional activities there are funds that have not been allocated, for instance, imagine that we do not approve the 10 pilot projects previewed for activity 2. In that case, we will have an amount that we could distribute for other activities. And we will reallocate the criteria to reallocate the remaining funds will be that we want to increase the number of associations participating in activity 6. We are funding 2 associations per national working group, but if we could increase this, would be excellent. And if there still are funds, it will go to activity 4 and in the end to activity 1. So this is the criteria that we want to use. And regarding the execution of the activities, this is very important. The activities may be carried out by your organization using your own resources or with the support of a collaborating entity. And this might be relevant, for instance, for the carbon pilot projects that you might not have the knowledge, but you might contract someone, an expert, that could be a forest consultant, a contractor, a company, university, anyone who could provide that support to you. But as we mentioned, you will receive the total sum as a lump sum, so it means that you do not need to present the specific distribution of cost. You will receive this amount if you prove that you have achieved the different milestones and provided the proofs. The eligible costs that are covered, of course, is the staff, materials, travel costs, consultancy services, or the equipment that are required. And there is one restriction that subcontracting is strictly prohibited for the mandatory activities, for the attendance at the final project conference, for the participation in the training sessions. We want you to participate in that, and for the participation in the national groups. Of course, you cannot contract these activities that are thought for you. And the double funding of the same activities is not permitted. This is a general rule. Retroactive funding is not allowed. Funding of activities that have already been completed. Consider that for the pilot projects that Maria Sosa mentioned, that the pilots should have been already established, but the activities that we are funding is not those plantation or the change in management, is the preparation of the documents that will support and explain the carbon pilot projects. The funds might not be used for activities other than the ones approved under the SMURF project, and the expenses related to the preparation and submission of the application will not be reimbursed. And to explain, well, the payment schedule, you know that for the first cascade, there was the first prepayment of half of the total amount of the lump sum. In this case, we have previewed, since the time is longer, there will be 3 payments. The first payment will be a prepayment of a quarter of the total amount that will be granted. The second payment will be, again, a fourth of the total and will take place in November 2026. And the third payment, with the half of the amount that has been granted, will be by the end of the project, the end of 2027. So since the payment method would be through bank transfer, it is mandatory that the association has a legal bank account in its name. You know that this is a requirement. And the next one is going, Elena Moreno will explain eligibility criteria. Elena, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first info session of this second call. Can you see my screen?
Yes, but not in full screen mode.
Okay, and can you hear me? Nice. So I will try to be brief to meet our time. So okay, so to be eligible for this call, you have to meet these 2 criteria. You have to be first a legal entity. So this is not for individual persons. This is meant for a legal entity based in a in the European 27 country. And you also have to be a legal organization dedicated to representing forest owners. So your organization can be a federation, association, a cooperative, but you have to represent forest owners. And you can also operate at local, regional, national, or even supranational level. The application timeline is presented in this slide. The call opened on the 9th of April, and it's closing on the 2nd of July at 5 p.m. And this is so this is the final deadline. Applications submitted after this deadline will not be considered for evaluation. So the application requirements are as follows. I'm going to show you the application form so you can see which information we are asking for and how to provide it. So but everything is really well explained in the full call document in the website. So anything that you might need to check is in that document. So we can, I'm going to, can you see my screen? No? Okay, I'm going to do it again. Can you see it now? Okay, so this is what the application form looks like. So when you click in the link that is in the website or in the full call document, you can get to this form, and this is the way to apply for this call. You can see that we are asking for information from the applicant first. So this is your organization data. And then we are asking for the information of the person that is filling in the application, and this person should be a representative of the organization, so it can be, I mean, it has the capacity to present this on behalf of the organization, and for example, is the person who can be responsible of signing the grant agreement in the process if they are selected. So this is the name, the ID, the position of this person. And then you are going to fill the data. I mean, you are going to say that you are eligible because you cannot present the application, and then some data to be evaluated. So this is the data that the award criteria is then evaluating. So this data is asked here. And then at the end of the application form, you have to submit the documentation. So you have to submit an administrative application form. This is mandatory for all the applicants. So it doesn't matter how many activities you are asking for, you all have to apply to submit this document, okay? And then the next of the documents, you only apply, you only submit the document that you are related to the activity that you are applying for. For example, in this case, you have to select the file and for the activity 2, okay? So in the website, in the documentation, you will download the specific document, application form for activity 2, if you are choosing that one. You fill in all the data that is required in this document, and then you put it in PDF format, and then you submit it here, okay? So please read through all the steps, and if you are not applying for activity 4, in here you don't have to submit anything, okay? And then just if you have some information, if you need some info, then I mean we remind you our email to submit the questions, and then you just click submit, and then your application is submitted. So you will get an email mention that your application was submitted. But I mean, since this is like a very important step, you have to. We encourage you to check beforehand all the application form to see if you have all the information available, if you need something, and have all the information in hand when you are submitting the application. So everything is well done. Okay, I'm going back to the presentation. Okay, the deadline is the 2nd of July, and after that the call is closed. So as I mentioned, the mandatory documents are the administrative application form, and then all the technical application forms for the activities the optional activities that you are applying for. Everything must be in English, so if you submit something in other language, your application will not be evaluated. And we only we are asking for one application per organization. So consortia of organizations is not eligible for this call, and you can only submit one application. So if you submit several, in case you don't realize, we will only be considering the last one, and no changes will be allowed after submission. So that's why submission is an important step, and it's final. You cannot send us an email saying, oh, sorry, I just forgot this document. No, sorry, but it's final. And then, as I mentioned, you will get a confirmation of receipt email when you submit your application. So then after submission, there is a process. And the first part of this process is the admissibility and eligibility check. So applications will be assessed for admissibility. And in here, we will see if the application is completed, if it's on time, if it's include all the forms, and if it's in English. If everything that I mentioned is covered, then your application is admissible. And then we will check for eligibility. So if you meet the two criteria mentioned before, you are a legal entity based in the European 27 countries and dedicated to representing forest owners, then you will be eligible. And we will communicate you by email on the 30th of July if you have been accepted for evaluation. So if you have completed and you are in the next step of the process. So the next step of the process is the evaluation based on the award criteria for each activity. This is, I'm going to cover this very fast because it's very well explained in the full call document. So, and it's different for each activity. So if you are only applying for one activity, please check that award criteria. So this will be evaluated by the evaluation committee, and as I mentioned, the evaluation will be independently within each activity, and the award criteria may vary among activities. And I am just putting here some examples of criteria considered, but as I mentioned, these are not all of these criteria are not in all the activities, so they change. So, for example, we are considering the country, the territorial level, the excellence, implementation, or impact of your application. For example, also the expected carbon benefits. This is, of course, for this criteria is only considered in the activity 5. And for example, one criteria just for activity 3 is the area represented for by each applicant. No, sorry, the species composition categories. And also a support letter. This is also a criteria for the activity 3. So you can check this in the full call document. And after the evaluation is done by the evaluation committee, you will get the results on the 3rd of October. So this date is really important. And the results will be also published in the website. So then you will know if you are granted or not for funding in this call. And then after that, after you know that you are or not a recipient of this funding, there is a negotiation phase that is also fully detailed in the full call document. And this is only done with selected applicants. So we are requesting some kind of information to check the documentation or check the applications, but this is only done for recipients. This is not done in the application process. And especially, this is especially important for recipients of activities 3 and 5, because some documents are mandatory and are a prerequisite for the signing of the grant agreement. So you have to be aware of this, that you will be requested to sign or to have these documents. And then the grant agreement signature, will take place, is planned for December 2025. And this is a document that you can check, is the Annex 7. You can check it now. And this document will be signed by the recipients and CC4 on behalf of the SMURF project. And the duration of the grants, so the project, the activities and the grants end of July 2027. It's just an final important considerations for the project is the language. The language applicants have to submit the applications in English because for us it's really not possible to cover all European languages. So applications submitted partially or totally in other language will not be considered. So we are very sorry, but we don't have the means to do in all languages. And also you have to be aware that there will be there could be verification of information at any stage. So CC4 or the SMURF consortium could ask you for some documentation to check admissibility, eligibility, or in the evaluation process to check or verify your information. And also just to inform you that all the proposals and the data that you are presenting will be treated in confidentiality and will not be published or disclosed to anyone. And we comply with the general data protection of the European Union. And sorry, because we have some problems with the link. So some of the participants in these meetings, they incorporated late. So I'm going to remind you of the process of sending questions. We encourage you to really check the full call details document and also the Annex 8, which is the frequently asked questions. But if you have more questions, as some of the questions in the chat, they are not going to be answered in this chat or in the next info session or individually by email. They are going to be collected, so all the questions will be answered, but in this process, in this way. So they will be published in a certain dates in the website. So you can submit your questions to the info mail with this subject, second SMURF open call, and they will be collected and published in the website in these 5 specific time slots. So you can check if you send a question, you can check when it's going to be answered. And the limit to submit question, this is very important, is the 20th of June. And all the answers will be provided in English, even your questions are submitted in other language. So then everyone can follow and read the answer. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Elena. Thank you to all of you attendees to this info session. We know that this has been a lot of information, but there were many specifications to explain. So we really encourage you to participate. We need your knowledge. We need your active participation in the activities of the SMURF project. And we are willing to clarify any questions using the system that Elena has mentioned. So the questions that you published in the chat will be answered by the 14th of May. That's the date for the next clarification, and they will be published in our webpage. So please prepare your proposals and stay tuned to our webpage, and we encourage you to participate in the second info session that I don't remember. Sorry, but Elena, do you remember when the second info session will take place?
Yes, the 28th of May. I'm going to put it in the chat, sorry.
Okay, the 28th of May, so please register and participate in that second session. And if you can have a look at all the documents, start preparing your proposal, thinking the activities that you think you can really make a contribution and that could be of interest for your association. And also invite others, because this is a question of creating a network and exchanging practices with experts from other countries. Thank you very much for your participation, and we will upload in the webpage the presentation that has been used with the mistakes, the 2 mistakes that we have identified corrected, and also when we edit the recording of the session, it will be published in case you have any doubt. Thank you very much and see you soon.
I'm taking a picture, please. Can you stay for 1 second, please?
And please, who is there and can turn on the cameras?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry for the inconvenience with the links.
We hope your questions and your applications. Goodbye.
Yes.
We hope to
Thanks.
see some of you at the conference in Rome.